If we don't sleep, our body will not be able to repair our muscle fiber tears. We have got to get adequate enough sleep. Also, looking at ourselves in the mirror every day, naked, raw. That way we appreciate our body because it's our temple and just start to love and appreciate ourselves. Like my sister would say, we have to be 1% better each and every day. That looks differently every day. You can jump through hoops that day, do backflips, but 1% might just be getting out of bed.
I couldn't be more excited today. The next guest we have for you is my very own, my favorite, the love, the person who has my heart. No, it's not my man. It's my sister, Ashley Clayborn. So we have her here today, and we're so excited. She's going to tell us about what we need to do to get to the next level in our fitness and how she works with executives and, hardworking leaders every single day. Ashley, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure.
So we want to talk about, you being a Division I athlete and, how you train. You're a pretty great trainer. You've trained me. And when I stick to your regimen, I get right. So
thank you.
Ashley, what lessons from being a Division I athlete shaped how your entrepreneurship journey is today?
I think really overcoming adversity, discipline each and every day. So it's waking up and doing things and, not feeling like you want to do that, not having the motivation, not having just, I guess, the mental capacity, but regardless, showing up, being consistent, and buying into what you said you're going to do. I think that correlates so much with entrepreneurship today, to be able to still perform and be fatigued, be tired, be stressed, and have so many other things going on in life, and to just do what you say you're going to do.
So you feel like there's a correlation between fitness and also being in the workplace, being an entrepreneur, being a business person? Yeah. You feel like there's a true correlation there?
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Honestly, I feel like the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones who have their health and fitness together, and that actually take that time to just take care of themselves. So the way I feel, it's such a routine and such I guess a habit or something that I need each and every day. Because if I don't work out or I don't lift or walk or be outside, see sunlight, whatever it may be, it feels as though that everything else is so much harder for that day. So yeah, I definitely think it's a necessity for all humans, but especially entrepreneurs, to be able to perform at a high level. To be able to have that energy level and to, be able to perform from lifting and exercising. But we can definitely dive deeper into that as well, when we circle back.
That's such a good answer, Ashley. And, I've actually been training with you for a few weeks, so I definitely appreciate it. I can tell the big difference.
I do think it's important to have an outlet. I appreciate what you said about being in the gym. Some people walk, some people do yoga. For me, it's getting in the gym because I do agree that when my body's right, my mind's right, it also gives me a place to it gives me a place to meditate, to calm down, to think things through. So do you see, when you deal with fitness and you deal with entrepreneurs, do you see where there is an opportunity for them to take the gym and actually bring that into the boardroom?
Yeah, 1,000%. So I'll touch on the consistency part of it. When we start thinking of health and fitness as something that's not an option and just it's a meeting or I don't know, a business opportunity or whatever it may be, it's something that you have to show up to each and every day. And honestly, it's a tool that will help you perform better, in the workspace. So once we lift, our body releases like endorphins, and it'll be like dopamine, serotonin, and it's just like the happy chemicals in our body. So the way our body works is we have all of the chemicals, all of the, I guess, drugs in a sense that can help us feel good, but we have to give something in order to receive that. So us actually lifting and, moving and working out actually helps us to be able to feel better and perform better. Our brain fog for our entrepreneurs, CEOs will be cleared after having like the exercise for that day. Energy levels will boost, and yeah, it definitely correlates extremely. It's a necessity.
It's very interesting to me because you've worked for my company, ONC National, and now you're your own boss and entrepreneur. What I appreciate about you is you sat down and you filled out an intake form for me. And we talked about some of my goals that I want to accomplish, some of the things I don't like. And when I go lift weights or I walk or do whatever, it's like you were really listening, because sometimes I get so busy with work that I'm like, oh no, I don't have time. But you helped me build like a consistent routine. My body is not hurting, like it used to. My nerves in my back, and you've taught me different stretches. Cause my recipe for like feeling better is, hey, go get a Thai massage. They'll stretch you out.
Yeah.
And Ashley was like, no, let me show you a couple of techniques. So like every night, I stretch in the morning, I stretch at nighttime. And it's actually been allowing me to have, better sleep. Yeah, better sleep. I do want to go back to your Division I days when you used to play basketball. How was it for you transitioning? Because you had 2 ACL surgeries.
Right.
Like, that was very hard. I remember the first one you had in high school. And your senior year, you guys went to the state championship and won. And that had to have been hard for you. And then you were still able to be blessed with a full paid scholarship. Then you got to college and you tore your ACL again. How's the transition from like having a major injury to like getting in shape and building your body back up?
Yeah. So first off, I want to say thank you to you and to Mom both for being there for me both ways. But yeah, so it was definitely like a hard situation to overcome. I think that it's helped shape me into the person that I am today. Being able to overcome like all of that adversity and to be so wide-eyed going into like college. Like I was grabbing rim my 11th grade year.
Oh, that's why you told Milton you would dunk on him?
Yeah. I felt as though I can overcome anything now since that injury. I would say one of the biggest strengths and takeaways from tearing my ACL in college was more so that I've already done it before. So the first time it was devastating, being able to be such an amazing athlete. And I say that off of stats, not off of bragging. So you guys can look me up if you prefer. I'm not playing, but I would average double doubles and I also had 11 triple doubles the year before I tore my ACL. So, but anyways, back to it. Going from being able to grab rim and then not to be able to walk or even to jog or run was very like humbling. But those 2 experiences has showed me that no matter what I go through, I can always overcome any adversity by being consistent and persistent, and also just having like a positive like mindset and knowing that God will take us through it. So, and He's there with us before, after, current. So just having that that knowledge has really helped me develop as a person.
Okay, so I know that you say, hey, you should put yourself first. But as an entrepreneur, you've actually seen the type of hours that I work.
Right.
How do you really schedule that time out? I know you kind of told me, hey, start with 30 minutes of walking or...
Yeah, I got you. So first off, I want to go back to what you said earlier about me helping you on the days that you might have been stressed or had, a lot of things to do, and we might have had like a strength training session scheduled for that day. But she's just like, hey, Ash, is there any way we could like just walk today? Like I have this, I have that, I didn't get that much rest. And it's so important to understand the mindset and where that person is for that day, because every day is different. So like my sister would say, we have to be 1% better each and every day. And being that looks differently every day. So that 1% might be, you can jump through hoops that day, do backflips, but 1% might just be getting out of bed, So really being able to drive that consistency of, taking that time for yourself and buying in for yourself is key. So now to circle back and actually answer your question, I would say the biggest thing is having a moment and like you said, I gave you like an intake form. So for us to be able to see what your schedule looks like, what are your responsibilities? What's your goals? What do you want out of this? And then seeing how we can make that like consistent. So no matter what, it may be, say, 30-minute workout, right? Instead of an hour, like I would prefer. We could do that as long as we get it in. But just showing up every day is the first part, and then we build from that. And your energy levels are going to change. Also, being aware of your toxic traits. So for me, my toxic trait is I like to put everyone else before myself, and me and my sister both do that. We get that from our mother. She's a very beautiful soul, and she's so kind, and sometimes she neglects herself. And me being aware of that, I need to schedule times when I do feel low or I feel tired or whatever that may be to actually lift, as opposed to maybe, I don't know, let's say, instead of cooking, I'm not saying that's, we have to cook every meal. Maybe I go to Panda Express or something and pick up dinner, and that'll save me 30 minutes, But yeah, so there's always going to be like healthier alternatives. And then that can save you time and then put yourself first. So, yeah.
So I'm an entrepreneur and I'm watching this. I hear why it's important. I hear what you have done. Get me started. Tomorrow I show up, I walk into a gym, I don't know anything.
Right.
That is a scary moment all by itself, right?
Right.
And then you're self-conscious.
I think everybody
don't know all the right. So take me through, man, here is a place to start. Absolutely. And here's how to get going.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely can resonate with novice, because even though I worked out all the time, but it was through like college with our own facilities. So me having to step into like a commercial gym was actually pretty nerve-wracking, even though I know what I'm doing. But I would say the safest thing, if they don't have a trainer, right, is to start with just getting steps in on the treadmill and just getting comfortable walking around, and maybe I don't want to say watch the person next to you, because sometimes they might not be doing, the form correctly. But I would say being consistent with like the Stairmaster, the cycling machine, or the treadmill, or even just doing some body weight abs. So with any type of training, taking that novice on where they are, we'll have to start off with balance, and then we'll go up to stability, and then we'll go up to strength, and then we'll go up to building more muscle and power training and things like that. So there are levels to it. So we'll just keep them and start them where they are. So basically just doing body weight movements. And
do you have any apps or any apps that you would point somebody to and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I've never done a crunch.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to do a crunch.
Yeah.
I've never done a lunge, so I don't know how it is. Where are some places that you'd say, hey, look at these?
That's a great question. I wish I had my app completed. It's not done yet, but we'll put it in the link below. There's this man, forgot his name. It starts with John, but he's an incredible, I guess I would say trainer, but he kind of shows, the movements of like different exercises from start to finish. But ultimately, like that would be the vision of my up and coming app, is to have, clips of women and also men doing those exercises, whatever it is, and just showing them different type of movements and that you can progress and regress from the same exercise. So
okay, so one last piece on this. Time-wise, I'm just starting out and I want to know, hey, what is too much? Because you see people go in and they like, I'm going to do an hour and a half, never done anything before. So now all of a sudden you give me an app. What's too much?
Right. I got you. That's some beautiful questions. So it's funny because it all depends, right? So people in the health and fitness industry always say that because we need to collect a lot more data. So I will need to have like your height, weight, age, gender. But let's just say we're going off of somebody who is still a novice, and let's just say they have no prior injuries or health concerns, and they're a healthy individual fairly. I would start them off by lifting at least 3 times a week. And that lifting or that exercise training, it could even be resistance training, such as like bands, right? So we don't even have to go to the level of actually lifting weights yet. But I would start them off wherever they are. And it would be 3 times a week. And I would love to start with 1 upper body, 1 lower body, and then 1 full body. That way that we hit everything at least twice. And then the full body, we can work on more functional movements. As far as like cardio wise, increasing your steps as much as you can throughout the day. But the biggest issue and the biggest thing or mistake that I see people make is that they overtrain. So they might train, let's say, every day, and they think that's okay, but they're not at that 5-star athlete level yet. So they would need to actually give their body at least 48 hours in order to recover from the muscle fiber tears that they're putting their body through from resistance training and lifting. So therefore, we can't do legs today and tomorrow and the next day. We have to do it. Say we do legs Monday. It's okay to hit legs Wednesday at 5 p.m. if we did legs Monday at 5 p.m. Right. And then it even correlates with like recovery time. So us sleeping, if we don't sleep, our body will not be able to repair our muscle fiber tears. So we have got to get adequate enough sleep in order to even grow from that resistance training. So hopefully I answered the question.
You notice that she said, if we don't sleep, you notice that was for me, low key. So Ashley, that's going to transition into my next question. I don't sleep a lot.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you taking the time to modify some of my things. And what you told me was, hey, if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to be hard for you to lift. So I was like, oh, I'm going to use that as an excuse. Can we go walking today? Can we do a little walking today? Okay, so let's just kind of go back to the intake form a little bit. So for me, it's been I'm all about consistency. Just like you said, you have to be consistent and you got to consistently do the right things. Right. So for me, I'm having a struggle with really not sleeping that much and then wanting to work out 5 days a week. What are some adjustments you think I need to make in my regular, workout plan?
Mm-hmm. You are very driven, such a driven person. And I believe that we might have more than what the version of yourself can handle at the moment. Not lifting, you can do all the movements. She does everything, right, takes, constructive criticism, is very coachable. But I think that we have too many sessions throughout the week. However, we did strategize. We have 3 lifts, and then we have 2 walking days or cardio days where we run sprints. And we do interval training and, endurance training, whatever that may be, cardio-wise. However, I think we should regress it back to you in your busy schedule to just be consistent with at least 2 lifts out of the week. But you get so much interruptions throughout the day. I think what you should do for yourself is getting those steps in and getting that sunlight. So being able to walk and take a moment to just ground yourself. As we know, taking our shoes off, being, absorbing the natural energy that the earth provides for us in the sun. absorbing that vitamin D, but taking that time there every day, that's a non-negotiable, right? In your meditation time. But I would say lifting twice out of the week, Tuesdays, Thursdays.
I do have a second question about nutrition.
Absolutely.
I'm getting an extra coaches question that it is. I'm really a strategist. So I do have a question about like nutrition. I have a problem with my nutrition right now.
As all of Americans.
I'm very proud of myself though, because my ice cream intake, that's my trigger. It's went down.
Yeah, that's
because you've helped me through that and you coached me. You said, hey, Jacqueline, when you start to want these type of foods, your protein levels are down, you know, and you sat down with me and you gave me all my macros and you told me exactly what I need to do. Actually, that's really helped me because I'm like, oh, I'm craving some ice cream right now. Oh, it's because, guess what? First, I'm not hungry. I'm dehydrated. I didn't drink enough water. And I don't have enough protein in my system. So it's making me have cravings. So you sat down with me and said, hey, you need to eat around this time. And when this happens, this is why it's happening. So you helped me understand it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Do you have like any comments on like thoughts about how we can help other viewers with those type of triggers?
Yeah, 1,000%. So we are our biggest enemy. And we're also our biggest like successor. So we can either help or hurt ourselves. But we have to do self-reflection and see what are our vices. So your vice is ice cream. My vice is Oreos. So what I do is figure out whatever it is that I actually really want. And if I've consumed my protein for the day, if I've still have that room in my deficit or whatever diet I'm in, then I'll add that in. So I can't stress enough how important tracking your nutrition actually is. If we don't do that, then it's like, you know, especially entrepreneurs, like where you guys have a plan and you're going directly to that plan, but you have steps to the plan. So how do you expect to reach a fitness goal if you don't have a plan written out and ready to go? And so the biggest thing is tracking that food and then even allowing yourself to, you know, consume those Oreos. So for me, Oreo thins, I can tell you exactly how many calories it is. 140 calories for the Oreo thins, 4 of them, right? So, you know, if we split it up, you know, it's like 35 calories a cookie. You know what I mean? So if I completed my training, I lifted that day, it's like a reward. You know what I mean? You reward yourself for being great that day, you know, and then you don't have to feel bad about it later because you know it still fits into your plan. So I would just advise, nutrition-wise, to start trying to track your food, whether it's a food journal, you're just writing it down if you don't want to be too technical, or even just starting to measure out your food consistently and just starting with eating the actual serving size of whatever that is, because Americans tend to just ignore the nutrition label. So it's crazy. Me looking at it now, I'm like, wow, there's so many things that I've overconsumed just because, for instance, if mom made burgers one night, right? I love burgers. It's my favorite. She might give us, you know, chips to fill the plate, to finish, you know, giving room in that plate. We ate really 4 serving of chips, of just chips, you guys. And it's like, if we could just be more mindful, like those chips didn't make me more full. It actually hurt me. It made me feel worse afterwards. Not that felt worse after my mom's meals, but just saying overindulgent and over-consuming. And we can just stop all of that by just doing what we're supposed to do. Read the nutrition label.
I got you. So when does fitness go from being a safe haven to actually being another job? Mm-hmm. At what point does it become another job? Because there are a lot of entrepreneurs that will look at this and say, I don't go in the gym because you just talked about tracking calorie, you talked about my nutritional piece, then you talked about what the workout's going to be. And by the time they got done with the first 5, 6 parts of that, they were already overwhelmed.
Mm.
So at what point does it go from being a safe haven to, man, okay, that just sounds like another job?
1,000%. I love that question. It's really good. I think it becomes that when your stress level rises, right? So when adversity comes, you give so much out of your tank and you think that, you know yourself the most, right? And you see yourself for what you are, and you also neglect yourself because that's just what humans do. So I think taking that time to prioritize yourself and treating it as an actual meeting, setting that workout schedule early in the morning, the very first thing that you do, or even at night. And you can start by even just doing small things like waking up as soon as your feet hit the ground, do some squats, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups. Like, you're not going to have that time throughout the day. So you have to realize that it's not an option for you to lift. It's going to help you live longer. It helps prevent osteoporosis. So that way, when you're older, you won't break a hip or injure yourself. It helps boost like your endorphins, and then it helps you be a better leader, a better CEO, better owner, a better everything, because you put your time and yourself first. So just making sure that's the absolute first thing that you do throughout the day. I think also going to bed. I feel like a lot of us say we don't have things to do, because I know that my sister has like actual tasks and things like that. So let's say we don't have those tasks, right? For me, my toxic trait, I might watch a TV show until midnight. You know what I mean? Even if it was just 30 minutes, but it's like it's 11:30, I should just sleep. So, but it's also, you have to reflect on yourself and say, hey, am I ready to grow, or am I afraid? And is this anxiety for having to start the next day? Because if you go to sleep, you're going to immediately wake up and get ready and go. So we just have to be real and honest with ourselves and make that time.
I love that saying. What is it to have $1 million if you don't look like $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
But talk to me a little bit about depression when you look in the mirror and what you see back doesn't look like what you're putting in.
Yeah, that's so it's funny because body dysmorphia is a real thing, like people, like for me, I'll just continue to reflect on myself. I'm used to being 15% body fat. So I'm used to being extremely lean, having abs year round, and me becoming a young woman, I have gained and put on some of that weight. So seeing that is a direct reflection of my nutrition and overconsumption of what my body needs. So we have like a maintenance, right? So we can eat the same thing every day and we won't change because our activity level is this, and then our nutrition is this, and then it equals out, right? So I would say a whole bunch of like fancy words. So like total daily body expenditure. So TDEE. So that's the grand total of what our body needs. And then taking that total off of, say you lift 3 times out the week, we'll do that. That equals a number. And then that amount goes on to what your maintenance is. So now you have even more of what you can consume. So doing that, tracking, and actually knowing where you should be at would help us to kind of guide towards that, I guess, nutritional aspect. A lot of things that people say is they don't want to be bulky in the gym, like people, women especially. And it's typically because when you're building that muscle, you're not shedding that fat. So that's the only time that you can actually look bulky and feel bulky, because your macros aren't adjusted the way it should be. So just also looking at ourselves in the mirror every day, I think that is so helpful. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients, is to just look at themselves like naked, raw. And that way we, appreciate our body, because it's our temple, and just start to love and, appreciate ourselves. And taking progress photos also will help. Because then you'll see that change that you don't typically see, even like body measurements, measuring yourself.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. The progress photos from time to time, but you see the small increments that you've changed.
Right. And it's so hard to see that. Yeah. And then basically we start to see the change 4 weeks, and then people around us start to see the change like within like 6 weeks or so. And then strangers don't start to see it like associates until like, 90 days. Mm-hmm. So that's why people are typically like, okay, 90 days, you'll get to your goal. So yeah. Oh yeah. Another thing, this is so random, you guys, but I know people said that 21 days creates a habit and forms a habit. That is false. It's actually 77 days. So if we ever feel as though that we're just not consistent and we can't figure it out, our human genetic makeup hinders us from creating a new habit in that amount of time. So we're just extremely too hard on ourselves. So we have to give ourselves like grace in all things health and fitness.
I've been taking some notes. I'm learning. So something that you taught me about tracking, you were like, because that's what we were talking about. I was like, oh, well, who has time to track any of this? And you're like, Jackie, just 1% better. So let's just start 1% better. So with that, you said, let's get you a watch and let's start just tracking your steps. Wow. And I created a habit. Another thing you were talking about was looking in the mirror. You're right. We don't look in the mirror that often. Yeah. So I've started looking in the mirror. Naked. Yeah, you're gorgeous. Yeah. 42. Okay. How am I? 21. I was like 21. So funny. So I think looking in the mirror is important because that's part of self-love. Right. And we don't take the time to just look at ourselves, and love on ourselves and even say, you're doing great.
Yeah. Positive affirmations, right. Reinforcement to ourselves. Absolutely.
I had another point you were saying about like nutrition. For me, what I find a problem, we have lunch meetings all the time. Right. And then after that, we have late events and stuff that we go to for dinner and all of that. It's extremely hard for me because sometimes I want to do intermittent fasting and I'm like, oh my God, I have this 12 o'clock meeting. What do you think as far as like lunch and dinner? Like, how can we overcome that? Like, what can I do? I really need these. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers need that because we're in meetings all the time.
Right. That's beautiful. And I get that a lot working with entrepreneurs and CEOs. So the biggest thing is being as structured as you can. So you already have a schedule, right? You already know what you're doing. So let's start actually planning for ourselves, for our food, for our meals that day. Say, for instance, Jackie, you like to do with your intermittent fasting, I believe, do you like the 16-8 split? I believe, or that's the one I recommended. So, but sometimes, you don't even have that amount of time. Like you end up having that eating window at an even smaller amount, maybe 2 hours to 3 on certain days. But if you know that, and say you are doing an intermittent fast, you would need to, plan. So we have this meeting, then I probably won't stop eating until 10 p.m., 11 p.m. That's extremely too late, right? Our body needs at least 3 to 4 hours of like no digestion, no food in your stomach for you to be able to recover when you're sleeping. So if you have food in your stomach, then your body's more focused on actually digesting that food as opposed to rebuilding your muscle. So planning and being strategic with that is crucial. So I would recommend if you're eating that late, honestly, to not even eat that late, but to eat before, and then to possibly just do that water, because all that does is hurt us. But one day, obviously won't hurt. But the biggest thing I would say would be to try to make the high protein like decision. So whatever meal is out in front of you, I would go with, the skinnier alternative, because some menus have like like it literally says skinny options or whatever. But yeah, I would go with that and choose whole foods. So I would go with, the chicken breast or things that are not fried and just to always just try to make a conscious like decision on what you're putting in your body so you can perform and not feel sluggish even after or during that meeting or event or whatever you guys have going on.
You know, you said structure, and then I wrote it down. I wrote structure for business, but not for life. Like when you said that hit me, I'm like, how can I be so structured in my business? It's like, bam, consistency. But like when it comes to like the self-love and self-care that I have for myself, I love myself, but I'm not like all the way structured in that. And so that's something that I want to work on, is being more structured, you know, in my health. I think that's a psychological thing. How do you feel, or what do you think we need to do to strengthen our mind to not have those triggers?
Yeah. So for me, you would need to take that time and self-reflect. So goes back to like our vices. So knowing what triggers us, what we continue to fall back into, but prioritizing that time, even in like meditation, self-reflection, and doing that each day will allow you to be more in like alignment like with yourself. But for me, I know as of right now, like I'm fed up with being where I am, right? And sometimes it just takes being sick of it. And I'm so sick of it, you guys.
It's so interesting because you're in such good shape.
I get it.
Like girl style.
I get it. Thank you. I want to, you know, there's so many dreams, goals. Like I want to be able to run that marathon through the rainforest, you know, in California, like we talked. And
the most I've ever ran is about 5 miles.
It's okay.
I'm out.
But no, but that's the whole thing. If you guys know, you might not know, but if you run up to 7 miles, your body releases endorphins, like the amount of like heroin, like drugs, cocaine, like, you know what I mean? This is explicit, you guys. But still, so like I said before, your body has everything we need, right? And it just releases that if you, you know, allow it to. So you have to give something. But going back to the nutrition standpoint, I would just say to constantly like analyze yourself and reflect on, okay, it's the decisions I'm making right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. So yeah, just continue to reflect.
So nutrition wise, so we've been on nutrition. Let's talk meal prep, and let's talk the person that's sitting there and saying, hey, but my day is crazy.
Yeah.
So one's meal prep. The second one is what do you think about people that have chefs or people that will fix their meal for them?
Yeah. So if I won the lottery, it just passed, somebody else won it, I was so upset. So no, y'all, I woke up in a bad mood because like I dreamed that I won it. I dreamed I at least won the million one, you know? And I was like, dang, I was one digit off. And then I woke up, somebody else won it. Anyways, just to say that, I would absolutely have a chef. Like chefs are like incredible, but we just have to make sure that chef is competent enough to prepare meals and make those accommodations for what your goals are. And even if you need a nutritionist to recommend, you know, the macros and everything for that chef, that would be great. And then meal prep is ideal. People say that it feels like it's so much more time, but it actually saves you hours throughout the week. Like you probably end up taking at least 20 minutes out of the day to 30 to just prepare your meals or one meal at that. But just making it very simple where you make like a big batch of meat and then a big batch of sides and not even having to combine it where you're putting it in different trays. So what I've learned is that helps because if, you know, a meeting does pop up and you squeeze somebody in and say you go and get that teriyaki chicken and whatever else at Panda Express, then your macros are going to change because you ate something that was outside of your regimen for that week. So now you can just take from that batch of food instead of eating and wasting like a plate of it or like a prep container of it. You can just take from it and be like, okay, I need about 30 more grams of protein. So I'll get some more of this. Oh, I don't really even need any more like carbs for the day.
You were taking my measurements and stuff, and I threw away so much food that I meal prep.
Right.
And it's like, I'm really trying to find that balance between, like, I don't want to eat bad anymore.
Right.
I want to eat healthy. And I have been keeping a food journal. And at first I'm like, a food journal?
Yeah.
But it's like with that food journal, you start writing down, oh, when I eat this, I didn't feel so good.
Right.
And you start, because your body sometimes is allergic. I have a lot of food allergies that I didn't, know about. So I'm like, oh, when I eat this, it makes me feel sad. And you were saying, hey, did you read all of those ingredients that's in that sandwich? If you have a craving, you should just make it.
Yeah. All that fried, like the fried food, like 1 tablespoon of like oil is 16 grams of fat. So we do not need to eat out, you guys. I definitely think when you get your chef that the meal prepping aspect of it will be great for them to actually like prep out your meals for the week. And then going back to like that self care reflection, I feel like it was probably wasted because you said yes to more meetings or more, whatever, or that you already have like such this big capacity, but we have to say yes to ourselves.
That's so much. I'm glad that you said it. That's so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
So, like, of course, being a leader, entrepreneur, CEO, owner, we have to say yes to a lot of stuff because we're like, we have our family that's depending on us. We have our community that's depending on us. We have our employees that's depending on us, our suppliers, our vendors. Okay, I keep on saying all of that, but we didn't say yes to ourselves.
Yeah.
I do think that's hard for us because a lot of us that are in leadership, we're looking out for everyone else. I think it goes back to meditation and life coaching.
Yeah. And then just starting. Like starting is the hardest part. So if you haven't already started, like take this moment, take this podcast and get started today. So taking those steps forward and showing your brain that you will continue to like put yourself first and do the right thing. Actually, it's like a tally mark, right? So there's so many, and that's the reason that we continue to neglect ourselves because we don't believe ourselves. Because 9 times out of 10 in the past, we've put ourselves off and we haven't taken that step or that tally or whatever it was supposed to be, and that mark went to a negative. So let's start building like that positive and let's start showing up for ourselves and showing ourselves, okay, we're doing what we're saying we're doing. Let's get these results. And that's what's going to come from it. And getting that, I guess, sense of just pleasure or being proud of yourself will come after that. And then that'll help encourage that consistency.
I'm no longer a novice. I have worked on my nutrition. And I've listened to this and I hear you and Jackie go back and forth about training.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about picking a personal trainer, those that are good, those are bad. And when it's bad, what to do about that and how long you stay with them if it is bad.
Right. Beautiful. Okay. I always compare people, which you have to not do that, right? But I end up doing it anyway. I think the biggest thing from a good trainer is being able to see what they provide. So not just the knowledge that they have, but are they tracking what you're doing? Do they have an actual plan written out for you? Or are you just showing up and doing whatever's in their head?
Yeah.
I can understand like the first, so don't get me wrong, viewers that are listening, watching, I can understand and give them leeway for like maybe the first week. If you're trying out a new program, you have 3 lifts, you want to see what they're capable of and what they're comfortable with, because we also don't want you to do something that makes you miserable. So I hate Bulgarian split squats. I love it, the results from it. So I'll go ahead and do it. But some people might physically that would just, put them in a bad mood and they don't want to do it. So that's that leeway and that grace period for you to be able to see if this is like the right trainer for you. So if they're actually able to adapt to your needs, listen to you, but then to also be able to track and progress you and regress you in whatever you're lacking or needing. Yeah, you're physically tired. You physically cannot. You need the energy. And then sometimes we live like fasted too. So like we depend on that either meal of the carbs from the day before or at least our sleep to be able to recover from that.
So for female entrepreneurs, is it all right for a woman to say, I don't want to go to a regular gym? I'd rather go to a gym that's like a curves or set for a woman. I finally got a chance to listen to something that said that sometimes the thing that keep you out of the gym has nothing to do with the gym itself. It has to do with all the other pieces that keep you from going. So how would you address that?
Yeah, so I would accommodate to that woman only because your mind is so powerful. If I'm training that person, I would continue to pour into them and let them know that, nobody's judging you, nobody's watching you, and that we're all human and we're all striving to feel good and to get that lift in. And whoever you're concerned about, they started where you are. And I guarantee you, if they know anything about fitness, they're not, judging you. But sometimes it can be an uncomfortable feeling for some women because they feel as though like the men are watching them in their like outfits and things like that. Or you know what I mean? They just don't feel comfortable. If that's the case, then we would just need to make some adjustments because I don't want that uncomfortability to turn into excuses as to why you're not actually lifting and being consistent. But I do see that and I have dealt with that. And the best thing that I've done for that is just poured into that person and let them know, like, look around, literally look around. Nobody's looking at you. And then it's scary because you're not comfortable. You're not consistently going there. So soon enough, if you consistently go 3 times a week, you're going to start running into the same people. You're going to start making new friends. You're going to start, even if you don't say a word, there's this guy I consistently do a head bob to every day because he's in here grinding it out, So, you end up just building relationships, not even knowing, where it's coming from. So
I appreciate that because gym culture used to be like accountability.
yeah.
I mean, certain people would see you and, hey, if today was a lift and I'm going heavy, I got a spot and I don't even have to look for it. That person is,
right.
The gym culture has changed so much.
Yeah.
So I think with the invention of everybody bringing in their AirPods, everything else, the gym culture is not the same.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Yeah, so building that relationship, there are a couple people that will come and like help spot me if I'm struggling. And that's like, I'm like, thank you, and we do need more of that. But it is that disconnect with those headphones and with all of that. So hopefully we as a community and as a world, as a generation can grow and just continue to help each other, especially in the gym. So
Ashley, thank you so much for that. And so in closing, I just have 2 quick questions. I say that quick, but I'm long-winded. So in mindset and motivation, when entrepreneurs hit burnout or plateaus, how do you help them reset mentally and physically?
I think the start of it is hearing and listening to whatever they're going through, being that ear and to hear whatever challenges that they need to overcome. And then I would just encourage to start. So to schedule out that time to walk and just get some form of movement or exercise. And like I said, putting yourself first will help you be able to just perform and be able to be more clear and to even have more energy. So therefore, your burnout and the difficulties that you're going through, it would be just a little bit easier.
Okay, my last question. If you could give entrepreneurs one piece of advice to boost both their health and business success, what would it be?
I would say to take them where they are and just grow from there, that 1% better. So whatever that looks like.
So some people listen to this podcast and they will understand how important it is, but they still won't value the fitness part of it. So for a second, tell us how you handle being healthy, even if you will not go to the gym, even if your whole thing is I don't like to sweat.
Right.
So give me an option for the person that's sitting there that's like, that was all great.
Yeah.
That is not me.
I got you.
So for today, you're going to have to give me something else.
Okay.
That's not it. So
I got
what
options.
would that be?
I got options. So it's nutrition. So sorry, but not sorry. If you don't want to exercise, you don't want to resistance train, you don't want to walk, you have to watch what you're putting in your body. So there's actually been studies that have shown that if you just consume more protein and less of, carbs and fats, then your body, even if you don't lift, so they did a controlled group where they didn't exercise at all. And all they did was increase their protein throughout their diet. Their body actually, in turn, burned more fat. So you lost body fat and you gained muscle without even having to move and lift. So it's so important. Nutrition. It's 80% of the battle. And then the 20%, is that exercise. But if you want to drop it to the curve, me personally, no, I have to do something.
Well, thank you, Ashley, so much for being here. We definitely appreciated it.